The Witching Hour, July 22nd, 2025. Like, subscribe, share, comment. 'Cause you're beautiful. That's why. So, yeah, by the grace of God, I did get to pray out the Witching Hour today. I am struggling with obedience. Actually thinking about, I don't really want to do God's will anymore. I just want this program to end. And I don't get like this very often, to be honest. But, the Lord has told me that this program is going to end, and sometimes and He's given me multiple dreams and visions about it ending, and what's going to happen to the agents and all this stuff. And sometimes I get impatient because I know that until He raises me up, I'm just a loser on this society. That nothing I say should be taken seriously, because I'm on welfare. And until He raises me up, that's how I'll always be seen, because that's how people regard people on welfare. They don't have anything to say that I'm going to listen to. If they can't take care of themselves financially, then they have nothing to say that I want to listen to. And so that plays a major role with me not having TIs who will follow what God has told me to teach and preach. And the Lord keeps telling me, we'll teach it and preach it anyway. And it's also very lonely, I've chosen to have no contact with TIs. Unless they happen to comment on my videos, I'll politely comment back and thank them. But in terms of talk, text, ever trying to meet up with a TI, that's just done. I've cut off all contact with TIs. So it's very lonely. And I'd rather just be lonely than to have to deal with TIs who they're not happy. They're not happy to see how radically God protects me from this program. And to hear comments like, your targeting is not even that serious, or God does that for you, because God works miracles all the time. My prayers today were 3 hours and 16 minutes. I took a brief break in between, and I was being hit with DEWs the entire time, particularly, and I don't know exactly why. I have many speculations why it could be, but they love to hit my feet, particularly my right foot, and they're just buzzing my foot the whole time, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm being an ingrate. There was a time when with them hitting my feet like that, it would affect my circulation, cause swelling, gout-like symptoms, soreness. It would be painful. It's none of that now. Now it's just like, it's almost like, it's just wonderful. Why? Because of God's presence. I will imagine His light, the light and love of the presence of the Holy Spirit of God, occupying that DEW, that vibration, whatever they're hitting me with. And so the Lord has made me to show some appreciation, because before I wouldn't even show any appreciation. Getting to see Him occupying that, while at the same time He's shielding me from it. So I'm experiencing it just like you would experience the thump thump of arrows hitting your shield, but they're not really damaging you. And that's kind of how I experience all the targeting. I experience it, it's happening, but it doesn't have a negative impact on me. And the two things that I do is the Lord makes me tithe my money to Him and make sure that money goes to the poor. And He makes me tithe my time to Him through prayer and reading His Word. I'm going to have to probably start fasting more than I thought I was going to, because I've had a bit of a drinking problem. So like on the weekends, I've been getting drunk, and I'll get drunk just before I go to bed. And I did that once last weekend. I did that twice. No, I did that twice last weekend, and I did it once the weekend before. And I don't even know what's happening, because I've never really enjoyed alcohol or enjoyed being drunk, but I really kind of enjoyed it. So I don't like doing this. If I drink, I want to drink in moderation. And the only reason I even have alcohol, which mostly just kind of just sits there, so I can occasionally have like one or two servings, and also for barter, when God's judgment hits this nation, because you want to have cigarettes, you want to have alcohol, you want to have beer, because people ain't going to be able to get that. And no matter how well you prep, there's always going to be things that you didn't get, and you can always barter. So that's really what the alcohol is for. It's not so much for me to consume. And I really feel like if I fast twice a month rather than once a month, that'll be enough for the Lord, because the Lord told me early on, fast regularly. He kept telling me this about 3 years ago, and I didn't know what that meant. It was kind of like the Lord was like, well, fast regularly, fast regularly. He said it through other people as well, and he said it to me directly. And it was kind of like, well, figure out what that means. So I remember I would fast twice a week, and I was like, I can't do it, it's too much. Then I would do 3 times, 3 weeks out of the month. Then I did 2 weeks. Then now I'm doing 1 week. But I'm thinking that because I never had really this issue when I was fasting more regularly, and I don't want this to become an ongoing issue. They even did directed conversation off the alcohol. Like, I don't have any shame about what I'm doing. I just understand that if you're getting drunk and it becomes a problem, that can really become a problem. For me, I just went to sleep. I didn't go out there, try to go out in public drunk or try to argue with people or anything like that. So it didn't really cause me any problems, but I just don't like the idea of getting drunk, period. And it's not a habit I want to get involved in. So I'm thinking I probably need to fast more. But because TIs, when I was in contact with TIs, either by phone or text, and I would tell them how God handles this program for me, like I said, they were not happy. They didn't want to do what God told me to do. They didn't want to pay tithes and offerings. They were not going to help the poor, and they weren't going to tithe their time to the Lord either in prayer and reading His Word. So they wouldn't experience. They've all these TIs have experienced miracles, but they're occasional miracles. Whereas for me, they're all the time, every day and every night. God shows me from all this targeting, miracle after miracle after miracle. It's all the time, all day and all night. He hasn't ended the targeting, and generally speaking, I'm not like, oh, when's it going to end? When's it going to end? But then sometimes I do get in that mentality. It's not a good mentality to be in, because God is using this targeting to purify my heart. So, however, in a sense, you can almost say the longer it goes, the better, because it will come to an end. The Lord gave me a vision; it will come to an end. I mean, I can't lie though. The sooner the better, because it's. I would like to have a normal life again someday. Even though the life God has given me is a pretty awesome life, and it's a much better life than before I was a TI. And I think that if God hadn't allowed me to become a TI and then work on me through this process, I would never have been someone that a woman would want to be with, or someone that could be a father, or someone that could have a family and head a family. And now that I'm doing things that I've never even thought possible, like being kind to the agents of this program, being loving to them, even when they'll talk to me and they'll pretend like they're just talking, and they'll throw in some kind of directed conversation, still be friendly and kind, and not let that trip you up. But trip me up, because the Lord doesn't let it. The Lord really not. It's not me. The Lord doesn't let any of that stuff trip me up. But that's because the Lord has molded me and made me. Whereas before, I couldn't maintain friendships because I would have these bursts of anger and fits of anger, and I would be a control freak. I would criticize, condemn, complain, control, connive, have fits of anger, this kind of stuff. And so I was always alone before, and now I'm alone only because I choose not to be around TIs. I choose not to associate with TIs. When I do associate, it's with agents, and I have to really submit to God's leading and God's wisdom in that, and His guidance and His protection, because while they are kind to me when they're in my face, because the presence of God and the fact that the Lord makes me be kind to them and loving to them, I still have to remember these are agents. Their goal is to destroy me. Their goal is to undermine me. Their goal is to do a psyops on me. They're not there to truly be my friends. And so it's kind of limited in terms of, like, I'll let them open up to me. I'll let them tell me about their hardships. I kind of feel bad that a lot of these folks are going through so much hardships. And I think to myself, they don't even make the connection. Maybe they're being an agent might be part of the reason why God has let all these horrible things happen to them. Worse things that happened to me, even as an overt TI. I mean, it just, the Lord doesn't let anything bad happen to me, but they're going through all this stuff, and so I can be sympathetic to them, but the Lord doesn't allow me to open up to them and to share with them, because the Lord's not going to allow me to divulge anything or to become dependent on them in any way, because this program demands that they use that against me. So all I can do is be as supportive to them as I can, but that's limited. We all need support as well. So I want the program to end. It's going to end. I don't know when. I know God gave me multiple visions on this. And the one thing that stands out with all of these visions is that, the one thing the Lord showed me was that this program is going to come to a screeching halt. When it ends, I won't be asking, you won't be asking, you will know it ended. Everyone will know it ended, and it will come to a screeching halt. Boom. Just like that. And so, the sooner the better, but at the same time, we all have to be patient, and I have to be patient and just let the Lord continue to use this program to humble me in his presence, which is to obey, to submit to his will, to let him lead me and guide me and fashion me using this program. That's how he does it. He purifies us just like gold or silver is purified. It has to be put through the fire, and then impurities begin to separate, and then you can scoop up the impurities, or however they do it. But I believe in the old days they had something that would skim the impurities off the top, and the silver, before you know it, it was almost like a mirror. It would just shine, and that's what God is doing with me. And I can tell you, He has done. I'm telling y'all, like I said, I was not a nice person before. I would pretend to be a nice person until you did something that crossed me, or until I just got my panties in the water and couldn't take it anymore. Then you would see the nasty part of me, and you would want nothing to do with me, because you would know that's how you're going to get treated when you piss me off in the future. And I don't think that's how I'm going to be in the future, because I know that that's no longer how I am with the agents of this program, and I used to be like that with them as well, a bit of a psycho. So I send all my love to all you beautiful born again TIs. God bless.